With the release of Justice League upon us, my look at the Superman movies concludes my look at Superman Returns. After the massive critical commercial hit of Superman 4, it took 19 years after that film before this one was released in 2006. Right. There were numerous pitches that ultimately never got made, including early versions of Batman vs. Superman. This further compounded Christopher Reeve's accident in 1985's original passage in 2004. This ended up reasonably well received by critics, one that no two films have had the same views on. So I actually think it's not that bad a movie overall. To why the course of this review, so let's open it up. Over there's a text showing how Superman went on a journey to search wars of his home planet Krypton to discovered by astronomers 5 years before the events of this film. It's also sort of soft reboot for this series, picking up after the events of Superman 2, Legend of Canon, and Superman 3 and 4. I must say, the recreation of Krypton's destruction, the films taking the iconic spacecrafts are impressive even after 11 years since the film came out. The film was also directed by Bryan Singer, who previously directed films such as Usual Suspects, the first two X-Men films. I am still working a marathon of all the ones I haven't done yet to get ready for Dark Phoenix, New Mutants, Deadpool 2, the Max superhero franchise review after this. Lex Luthor, played by Kevin Spacey, has also been free from prison thanks to people like Gertrude Vanderworth, played by Maggie Smith in her one scene. So it's unpleasant regarding Spacey off screen right now. I will just deal with that as it comes. Won't be addressing what has anything here, but also it's going to give a whole new meaning to watching American Beauty again for me. Lex is also manager of becoming the executive of Vanderworth's estate and uses her money and yacht to begin his next plan. Then cut to Clark at a Camp Family Farm in Kansas, where Clark's ship crashes with his mother Martha. Since this film only follows the events of Superman 2 onward, her death was decanonized. I don't mind it too much, every version of characters I've seen handles it differently. On the ocean, Lex cohort Catherine, aka Kitty Blair Parker Posey, is crypted about Lex's friends in prison. Lex then asked if she knows the story Prometheus. Well, I think so, but we're talking before or after Lindelof started rewriting it. Actually, Lex tells the actual deity he wants to take advantage of Superman's technology as a retribution while visiting him. The future Fortress of Solitude, and Lex learns about the crystals from the essence of Jor-El, played digitally stored footage from late Marlon Brando. This is the kind of technology I find fascinating, helping actors take part in a film despite the notable handicap being dead. It was after Laurence Olivier and Skycat and before Peter Cushing Rogue One, so there you go. Back in Kansas, we see Clark playing this film by Random Routh, trying to adjust to coming back to Earth after spending 5 years in space. He only found a graveyard on his home Krypton and decides to return to Metropolis. This movie was filmed in Australia, and I actually kind of like how the film approaches story and use of location. It has a unique style of architecture that mentioned being combined with nostalgic Mario elements. Even though not everyone's into this film, I actually like how elements of first year to films as well modern superhero films are used. The budget was $200 million, and even though it's not the best film we like clients yet, it's far from the worst. Clark is able to take over his job at Daily Planet again with help of Perry White, played by Frank Langella, and Jimmy Olsen, playing Sam Huntington. Overall, while there's only 26 time production, he does resemble V and does a fair job of capturing his performance. However, I can't understand how many people feel about this film's version of Lois Lane, played by Kate Bosworth. She does seem a bit young to play the role, and she's not my favorite version in hindsight, especially she was old enough to be my older cousin when I saw this movie at the theater. As Lex begins using the crystals on his plan, Lex Scott not only does notice how a young son named Jason, but also dating Paige's nephew Richard, played by Jason Marsden. I'll address this plot point later, and Lois is also covering the launch of a new space shuttle called Genesis, which is to be launched by Boeing 777 at the same time Lex is maintaining the crystals. What could possibly go wrong? Surprise, surprise. Not only do the crystals grow immensely in water, it also causes everything in electronic control to stop working for a moment, and jams the couplings on the shuttle as its launch cycle starts. So Superman sprints to action to help save the shuttle and the plane. This is John Ottman's arranged Super and John Williams theme music being very good. I also like this movie's version of red, blue, and yellow tights. The stylized S on his chest is a nice touch. I don't mind the red and blue of the suit are more solid shades of crimson and navy, so it doesn't interfere with the chroma key shooting effects. Superman is not only able to help the shuttle launch safely, but also stop the plane creation once actually played 10 action scene. I guess Genesis really does what Nintendo don't, even nearly avoiding disaster. While Lois wants to investigate what caused a power outage, Perry's wrestling with us drivers and editors. Superman Returns. Not the most subtle title drop, but I'll take it. Anyway, Clark meets Richard as well as Jason. The latter has some health problems. Lois apparently never mentioned Clark to Jason or Richard, and Richard is also a pilot. Imagine that. Two different superhero series, and both feature Jason Marsden playing a character as well as a pilot in Love Triangle, and both had Bryan Singer at the helm, no less. Lex also acquired a Russian assault weapon for his plan, and Lois is unhappy Superman leaving to the point where an article that won her a Pulitzer. Why the world doesn't need Superman. After helping Lois catch a taxi, Superman pines over a woman he loved, which is a rather emotional scene to be honest. Then he hears the voice of Kryptonian father Jor-El, as well as stress around the world as he springs into action. The montage of his actor heroines seem like members of plot we've seen many times in comics, previous films, and my case, animated series from the 90s, but the effects and action are really good in 2006. Particularly the scene where he starts bunting robbers with a minigun is fantastic, capped by a bullet bouncing off Clark's eye. Even though Sayer admitted that his forte is X-Men, he still has a great vision for action. Lex also used the distraction of Kitty and out-of-control cars so he can steal some of Kryptonite from the Metropolis Museum. It's also another sample from As the Abba found 1978 not the original film. Isn't that something? I also find it so amusing that photos of rescue were taken at a cinema hour with a kid with a camera in his pocket. That was the year I got my first camera, and so many makes our first technology change in such a short time. And also a brief mention of Gotham and one of the newscasts playing that paper meaning they do exist in the same continuity. As Perry assigns Lois to interview Superman, Jimmy also tells Clark about how when Lex was in prison, he wants Superman to testify but he was still searching for his home. Kitty also is happy that Lex caught the brakes in her car, but Lex did it on purpose to make it look authentic for Superman. As he begins fashioning the kryptonite projectile, he discovers a shard. He decides to keep it as a shiv for later. As Superman meets Lois on the roof, their interview shows how much it changed as he left. It was like their flight together over Metropolis skyline. Sometimes the best part of it is the emotions that carries on screen and the emotions they invoke in us. Perry is impressed by Lois' new article, and as she gets ready for his other Pulitzer, Superman goes to Fortress Solitude and discovers that Lex has stolen the crystals. Lois also traces where the Black Adventure was home, but Lex traps him just as the boat sets off. Lois then decides to interview Lex because of what's going on, and he, of course, is too eager to tell her his plan. Lex intends to use the crystals to make a new continent, not killing all he will kill millions, or not billions of people to take a valuable land. His continent will sink the United States. I also love the way Lex shouts wrong at Lois. It was a pretty big meme at the time. Lex also pulls out the projectile kryptonite and Jason shows a sight of it. Was initially thought his father's Richard. There is more coming, I will address it soon. Since Lois doesn't have her phone, she is able to fax the coordinates of the yacht just in time. Amos Lex launches a projectile in the ocean. The landmass of kryptonite takes shape and starts causing disaster. Jason is also able to summon great strength to throw a grand piano at Lex's guard Brutus. This scene all but reveals that Superman is Jason's father, giving a strange meaning to that Amnesia Kiss second movie. Not quite as much as Luke and Leia being related, but a very close second. Lex getting the other guards then head into landmass when leaving Lois locked in the storeroom. The scenes with Superman seeing Metropolis from disasters caused by landmass honestly among the best in the film. The bit with Superman saving civilians from getting crushed by global atomic being put simple with a fetish shot really makes the scene work. I also know 154-minute runtime has deterred many people, but most better for now when I was 14, I honestly don't mind. But I want to do this movie and finish the marathon for much longer, and I'm glad I'm almost done. Richard finds Lois and Jason, Superman is able to rescue them all before he goes to confront Lex. But at this point in the franchise, the chemist of the prior films is long gone, having given way to a bitter and jealous fan of the comics. Even though people I've talked to have split on this film how it handled Superman, most people can agree that this movie's version of Lex was well done. Superman demands the crystals back from Lex, and Lex has his thugs begin beating him with inches light as Kryptonite starts taking his toll, and then pulls out the ship and quite literally stabs Superman in the back with it. As he falls in the ocean, and Lois rescues him in the water, he realizes he has to get rid of Lex's island for the disaster to stop. Kitty will also no longer accept Lex's plan. He dishes the crystals as they try to escape on the helicopter. Superman is able to send the island into space, but he comes crashing back down to Earth, thanks to sharp kryptonite by his wounds. Shard is able to be removed, but the doctor's tools don't even get through Clark, and he flatlands on the operating table. While this scene with Perry Richard mulling over Helen being Superman's death is already sad scene on its own, it's heartbreaking after Batman vs. Superman. I'll talk more about that after I go see Justice League. It's not point of support comes for Superman, especially from Lois and Jason. Lex and Key is trying to deserted an island after the chopper runs out of fuel. As for the minute vulnerable food supply, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Not until they catch Jesse Eisenberg, at least. I still think he's not just cartoonish over the top, I think he's certifiably insane. Regarding any potential symbolism of Superman rising from his hospital bed, once again, make your own assumptions. So, we close on Lois writing a new article about why the world needs Superman, and Clark telling her at Mars around as he flies off in the sunsets. with how people feel about this movie, I still enjoy that ending. It's taken me quite a bit longer than I expected to do this movie and the ones before for this marathon, but I'm glad that I did. It's not my favorite film feature Superman. It's a significant improvement over Superman 4, much closer to style and tone of the first three films than the Campbell later sequels. The cast, while not perfect, does put on a good performance overall, and since I have a picture and action every bit as good as his, try making interesting stories with unique characterization. That said, even though the film did make its money back at the box office with a solid $200 million domestic and $390 million worldwide tally, Warner Brothers felt that wasn't what they were expecting. Couple that with the actors saying wanting to move on to other projects and the success of the Dark Knight sequels, they eventually just decided to throw up their hands and reboot the series again, and here we are now. Still, I find this film is actually not as bad as others said, and actually more open to the idea of handling Superman in more than one way. Much like the comics are based on, the adaptations and have had many different ways of interpreting Man of Steel over the years. I'm open to seeing where Cavill's art goes, and more films away, including Matthew Vaughn's present interest in plan sequel to Man of Steel. I think the time is right to bring back the idea that's where Superman versus Superman many have missed for so long. Even as someone who has been surprised by versus Superman but in the DCAU version character not intrigued by him, I actually don't mind his earning his status as savior and idol rather than just having it like before. I said in my Batman marathon, one of the things I started to do was see how the character changed and how the public saw him over the years, and I'm glad that I did it. My favorite rating for this movie 3.5 stars out of 4. I'll be seeing Justice League not after after it opens, and you should see my review not after that. See you, Space Cowboy.